Hello, I am Felipe Polo, co-founder and co-chairman at Guidesmiths. You've probably heard that data is the new gold. In this webinar, we will explore the journey that a company must take in order to embrace digital, generating and collecting data in a scalable fashion, and using this data to know your business in depth and therefore to be able to drive better decisions, because without data, all you've got is opinions. Guidesmiths is an international software consultancy specialized in web and mobile technologies with vast experience in complex legacy migration and digital transformation projects. We write software and we do it with quality. Now, you may have seen somewhere on the internet a similar set of pictures. So the idea of this slide is to show you what is the journey from having data to getting into wisdom. These concepts are definitely very, very different, and you need to know what the differences are so you can provide the tech that allows you to get to the next stage of knowledge and wisdom. So data, in reality, is just a set of bytes that could be transported, could be stored, could be translated, decoded, encoded, could be zipped. But data per se means nothing. It's something almost physical, if you will. The thing that starts coloring your data and making it become information is when you start identifying that data in that blob of zeros and ones and your business entities, right? So you could start identifying that this payload that I received is information about the user, or you may have in a table in a database somewhere data that translates into a set of orders placed by a user on an e-commerce platform, for instance. Now, when you start connecting those pieces of information, those business entities, with intrinsic value, you get to have knowledge, right? So you know that a certain customer belongs to a certain amount of groups, for instance, or you may know that this bundle on the former e-commerce platform contains a set of particular products, or you may know that certain discounts apply when you buy beyond 3 products, let's say. So this knowledge tells you things about your business, about the way your business operates. But in reality, the interesting thing, and that's where gold starts to show off, is when you get to the insights stage. In the insights stage, what you get is some kind of correlation between apparently non-related elements of your business. So you may wonder why every time that we reduce the price on this set of products, then this completely unrelated set of products sell better. You don't know that, but with the proper amount of tools and infrastructure, you can get to the final stage, which is wisdom, where you can find an explanation of why those two things, why those insights correlate. And when you gain that wisdom, then you can say that you have a profound and deep knowledge on your business. And at that point, you will start definitely exploiting that and getting your business to the next level. But all this journey starts with the very minimum amount of information, which is data. So this data can be captured, right? So events naturally happen in your business. Following the example of the e-commerce platform, orders could be placed, user could be logging, someone could be following someone else. I don't know, a user could be applying for extra information. All those events within your business, within your platform, can be captured and stored for a later analysis. However, data could be also produced. So let's say that in your platform, users are looking into different products, right? And every single view produces some data that is captured. So this is one view, this is another view, this is one click, this is, I don't know, someone saving it as favorite. So you capture that data, but then you could be producing some more data on top of that one. Like for instance, I could be aggregating all views and offering that information back to the author, right? And saying, the data that I've produced is the amount of views that you are having per day, per week, per month. I could be producing the average number of viewers. I could be producing, I don't know, what's the average price that you're selling for. So definitely data could be produced out of the basic data that we capture. But then when it gets more interesting is the data could be also forecasted by applying mathematical models and machine learning techniques. You could be actually telling the user, well, it seems like, if everything continues as it is now, it seems like next month you will be achieving this result. Or if you carry on doing these actions, then you may get these results. This also happens with more basic stuff, more common things like weather forecasting, right? There's a huge set of data from all the events with different variables in the past, like humidity, like wind, speed, or temperature, or anything you can think of, rain levels, things like that. And mathematical models are applied on this huge set of data to actually be able to forecast what's going to happen next week with pretty good accuracy, I would say. So those are the three levels that you can combine with each other to enrich the basic data that you capture in your business. I always look at data pipelines as oil extraction platforms. If you want to exploit that oil and start producing other derivatives, first you need to invest heavily on infrastructure, right? So once the oil platforms have been set up, all the workers are there and they have everything they need to start working, and they start just installing all the pipelines to allow and to ease the oil extraction, then you start operating, and then you start leveraging that material that initially doesn't provide value by itself, right? It's just what you do with data what is valuable. So definitely for software, the metaphor still stands. You need to invest certain infrastructure cost in order to then start plugging different data sources and start transmitting that data sources, moving it across, and start producing more data on top of it, and getting to know your business and getting to drive and make better decisions. However, why now? Why are we talking about big data and knowledge, and why all this power of all of a sudden? Well, big data is definitely nothing new. It's been around for many years. However, nowadays we reach a point where democratization is possible for even for small and medium companies, right? So you don't need to invest a huge amount of money and time trying to get the infrastructure right, thanks to cloud services like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. And thanks to the rise of open source technologies like the Hadoop ecosystem, for instance, with technologies like Hive or Spark, or companies like Hortonworks that are open sourcing as well, many technologies, Cloudera, Pivotal, all of these ones are providing cheap services and open source software that you can provision and maintain yourself, if you will, and that is leading to a democratization of the possibilities. So the rise of big data is happening now for that reason. So don't miss it. A typical platform, typical architecture for any kind of software platform, not related to big data, but any kind of software platform, consists of a set of services. These services could connect with each other via HTTP requests, or if they are loosely coupled, they will be passing data through via something like a data bus. Some of these services will be doing background tasks, performing operations on databases, on something like a cache, search engines, whatever. The interesting bit happens when you start building APIs on top of these services. So these APIs will be serving in a standard way data to web and mobile or even standalone applications. So now not only your services generate data, but also your applications, your users. So the idea of a typical big data platform is that you then create a funnel where you store a massive amount of information of absolutely everything that's going on, as much as you can in your business, in a data warehouse, which is a technology, is a kind of a database based on columnar searches, where it's designed to perform really well with certain amount of queries you typically run to get data, like a million rows from the past in a matter of milliseconds. So ideally, you would be connecting the interesting and insightful points from your platform. You will be plugging them to your data warehouse. So for instance, all the data flowing from the data bus can be captured and connected to the data warehouse, or services calls, or even user events in your website, right? Things like this user is scrolling, this section of the page has been viewed, this advert has been clicked this, I don't know, basket has been abandoned. All those events that could be interesting, you can monitor and store them in a data warehouse. So data warehouse is a collector for all the interesting data that is happening in your business. So you need to really integrate all the things, right? You could be combining your custom services with software as a service platforms via APIs. You could be connecting any kind of hybrid services, both in cloud or on premise, anything. Your platform needs to allow that. And ultimately, the data warehouse will have to be receiving all this insightful data. Then the interesting bit is, all right, so we placed all that data into a data warehouse, and now what's next? Well, what is next is you could be, as we mentioned initially in one of the first slides, the data could be produced as well. So say that you've got some AI or machine learning capabilities reading out of the data warehouse, and then you could be producing things like forecasts, and that forecast could be returned to the data warehouse itself. You could be correlating data. You could be using profile data from multiple users in order to create things like recommendation systems, or you could be creating a clustering of users in order to classify the kind of users that you've got or the kind of products that you're selling, the high performance or the low performance, for instance, and all the data that you're managing and creating at the back of the original one can be placed back into the data warehouse. And ultimately, the data in the data warehouse will be used to generate business reports. So you can be plugging technologies, Power BI, or any of those into a data warehouse in order to run free queries or a preset dashboard. They could be running a certain amount of queries, and you will be getting data out of your business, fresh data in some occasions if you're building a real-time platform. Also, you could be getting useful insights back to APIs to be served to the users, as the example that I commented earlier about a user being able to watch his average number of views in any of his products, for instance. So you could be serving some of the matched data back to the users. And that's really interesting because then you keep the snowball effect, right? Because you've generated more data, then the user can perform more tasks or make better decisions with that data that you provided. And then the interaction will be higher, and that will yield to a higher amount of data, which ultimately will become more gold for you down the line. So, as I said, AI can enrich your data, plus also allow you to make and drive decisions. You can leverage this data for data science, machine learning algorithms, and predict behavior. As I said earlier, it leads us to wisdom. You can be correlating data, you could be classifying products, users. Ultimately, what you do with these algorithms is to find cause and effect within your business. So you find that little path that we saw earlier, which is wisdom. And also machine learning and AI with the data you're providing at a massive scale is able to automate decisions. An example of this is some of these robot advisors, these trading robot advisors, right? They exactly tell the advisor, the human, when to sell, when to buy, purely based on calculations and cold mind, right? These are algorithms that drive decisions and perform automation, which is definitely part of the future and really interesting. An example that happened to us in the past, for instance, is thanks to this analysis with machine learning on one of the platforms that we built, which was a resources platform where users could be selling and buying these resources. We analyzed that there was a correlation between a user downloading first free resources yielding to a higher conversion on purchases. So we ran a little experiment, and what we did is to promote free resources on the search results. So people would be encouraged to download free resources first, because the machine learning algorithm was saying that actually that would yield a high conversion. And actually, we started selling way more thanks to that. So that's a huge example for business value derived from machine learning and AI analysis through the collection of big data at massive scale. So this is all. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that you can stay in touch with me on social networks, so Twitter, LinkedIn, and also you can reach me out via my website. I hope that you enjoyed this webinar, and I'll be pleased to continue the conversation online. Thanks a lot and have a good day.